Hello, Devin. So I'm going to quickly get my MAC address. Not sure if this is the right way to do it, but it works. So it also shows up twice for some reason, but it's the same MAC address, same DC blue. And it just gets the MAC address of the first network adapter. Okay, so here's the output of my Ansible playbook that does the VIO static mapping, and so it seems to have worked. And then when I check in vSphere, my DHCP server service has static mapping and it all looks good. Okay, so now I'm going to SSH into my domain controller. And I can do an ipconfig/all to see that DHCP is enabled and everything was set correctly. And then I can go into my BIOS box and run a tail to see the messages and see the DORA, which is all right here. Okay, so I'm currently running the networking script. This is the second time because I ran it before and I ran into an issue and it worked, but I lost where I was at, so I couldn't show it. So I just ran it again, Ansible playbook, doing networking, everything just worked fine, and now I'm going to SSH into my deployer at 10.0.5.5. Let me make sure it's done restarting. Yeah, looks good to me. Okay, so now I can do an ipconfig/all, and as you can see, DHCP is no longer enabled. Everything else looks fine still. And to double check, I can do a ping to google.com, and it works. So yeah, that's that. Okay, so it looks like my script is done. My Windows domain script, and everything seems to have worked. Waited the 7 minutes and okay and changed. So now I'm gonna SSH deployer at BLUE5 at 10.0.5.5. Okay, and I'm in. And then I'll do a who am I? BLUE5 deployer. And I think I needed to do one more thing. What was it? Hostname. Hostname is DC BLUE5. Okay, so I think that wraps up Milestone 8.1. And I'll see you in 8.2. Okay, so this is Milestone 8.2, and so I created a script to load my create OU PS1 file that I made, and it's going to send it over and then run the script on my domain controller. And here's what the script looks like. So it's going to create BLUE5 OU, it's going to create an accounts OU, inside of the BLUE5 OU, and then it groups inside of the accounts. Then it's going to create computers inside of Blue, and then servers inside computer, and then workstation inside computer. So this is what my OUs look like beforehand. So I just have the default. And then we're going to run the playbook. This might take a couple minutes. Looks like it worked. And just double check, we're gonna see if they're all here. Did you look at that? It all looks good. So yeah, I'll upload my stuff to GitHub. Okay, so this is 8.3, and starting off, I just ran my Ansible playbook to statically map the IP address. So now I'm gonna do. Okay, so I realized the password, or well, first of all, it was not finished booting when I tried to SSH in, but the password expired on me, so I had to go into it and change it. But now it should be good. Yeah, and so I can do an ipconfig/all, and we can see DHCP servers 10.0.5.2, same with the gateway. DNS is 5.5, and the IP is 10.0.5.6. So yeah, everything worked with that. And if I SSH into BIOS 5.2 and configure, we go show service DHCP server, and Van Halen is right here with the IP of 5.6 and the MAC address. So that's how it actually got all of that information. So yeah. Okay, so I just ran the playbook to change to static IP. Basically turn off DHCP, and it all worked. So I'm going to check on it now. And DHCP is no longer enabled, which is perfect. And hostname looks good, everything else is looking good. Okay, so my domain joiners seem to have worked. Second try, so almost had a first try, but didn't seem to work the first time. So now I'm gonna, let's see, SSH into deployer at BLUE5.LOCAL at 10.0.5.5. Okay, so I just SSH'd in. Now we can do a get AD computer. I think I just do it all right. Yeah, okay. So let's see. distinguished name, DC Blue. Here we go. So it looks like it's in DC Blue, and it is in the servers, computers, in BLUE5 local. Yeah, so I think it all looks good. Cool. So I forgot to show myself SSHing into Van Halen, so I'm going to do that real quick. And then I can do a host name. And who am I? There we go. Okay, so this is Milestone 8.4. So basically what I did so far is I created a base Windows workstation. Here we go, workstation.base, and I just deployed workstation 1 and 2. Here's that, a linked clone on BLUE5 LAN. So that's workstation 1. And then I did another one, workstation 2, right down here. And basically it's just a linked clone of the workstation base. And yeah, there's the first two. Alright, so I started both my VMs, and now I'm just going to do a quick get IP. And so workstation 1 is a .81, and then workstation 2 is a .80. Okay, so I'm just going to do a quick SSH into workstation 1, and then do an IP config. And yeah, there we go. It's a .81, which matches up right here. Okay, so I just ran my script to join the domain, and so I ran it once up here, but my workstation 2 decided not to work. So I ran it again, and it changed this time. So the first one was already done, so it skipped everything, or it skipped the reboot. But 2 got changed, and then it rebooted. And now I'm going to try to SSH into deployer at BLUE5 at 10.0.5.80, and it should work. Yeah, so I'm in. And then I can do an IP config /all. Make sure I'm joined, DHCP, I got everything, DNS server. Domain, I'm in the domain. Yeah, and then I guess I can do it. Who am I? Yeah, host name. So yeah, looks pretty good to me. Okay, so now that I deployed them and I know I can SSH into them using deployer, I'm gonna check on my domain controller to make sure they're in the correct groups. And so it looks like, so workstation 1 is inside of workstations, and workstation 2 is also inside of workstations, so it looks pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to try running my Windows software file. I've ran it a couple times now, and I actually got an error code saying I was installing things too fast, like 20 things in a minute, and it locked me out for an hour. So I just waited that hour, and hopefully it's gonna work this time. It only has to install Notepad, I think, so it should make it through. But we'll see. Okay, so it looks like it all worked. Finally. so I'll SSH into deployer at BLUE5 at, guess I'll do the 81. And I can do Choco list local only. There we go. 22 packages installed. So everything looks pretty good. Okay, so this is Milestone 8.5. And I'm going to start by changing the power config from balance to high performance. And so to do that, first I'm going to save this, and then I can run it. It's going to gather the facts, and then it should change over to high performance on both of my workstations. And look at that. Got the facts, and it changed. So we should be good. Let's double check that real quick. I'm going to do power config list. And there we go. So now my VMs won't fall asleep anymore, which is great. Okay, so I am going to RDP into all three of these are going to work, but I'm just going to test one of them, probably workstation 1, using administrator at BLUE5. Alright, it's probably going to do that. Okay. Okay, so the script worked, and now I'm going to try to connect. And it worked. And that was using the administrator account on BLUE5.LOCAL. There we go.